Very good morning. It's Penuel the black pen, Penuel the sword pen, uPenuel ipeni limnyama, usiba olunsundu, Penuel pene enso. Yesterday I made a video and I'd like to thank each and every one of you who watched it and who shared it. And more especially, I'd like to thank people that donated in the video. And I'd like to encourage as many of you as possible to please donate 10 Rand, 14 Rand, 100 Rand, whatever you can afford to these videos so that I can continue providing education and teaching and engagements for you guys. I appreciate your donations very much. They mean a lot to me. They allow me to carry on doing the work that I do. And from my heart to yours, I just want to say thank you for taking the resources that you have and sharing them with me. I want to give a shout out to my water sponsor, H2O. Keep it going, keep it flowing like the water. H2O water provides purified water in all types of sizes, by the way. This is just, I think they have 500 mils, but they've got 330 mils. They've got litre. They've got up to 25-litre bottles. And then they also offer water purification, not water purification, water dispensing coolers that you see in office spaces. You can buy one for your home as well to make sure that you have clean water, especially for your children. I'm going to drop a link to them in my description. I'm also going to post in the comments as well. If you're going to be ordering in bulk, there's a code that you can use, Penuel10, that can allow you access to discounts. Thank you very much to H2O Water for sponsoring my videos and for being my water sponsor. Yesterday, I made a video about General Clangam Kwanazi and his bombshell press briefing on Sunday, the 6th of July. Many people have been commenting. Many people have been waiting with bated breath to see what President Cyril Ramaphosa is going to be saying regarding this coming back from a BRICS event. Fikile Mbalula had initially seemed to be snubbing General Kwanazi, but seems to have flipped a page and now is saying, look, people that are accountable for wrongdoing must be held to account. Many other people are still being defensive. We haven't really heard what Tusenzo Mchunu has to say. We've heard a bit from Major General Shadrack Sbiya, the Deputy National Commissioner of Police. We haven't heard from General Masemola, the National Police Commissioner. And I guess in time we're going to see just what's going to unfold. But it's had social media abuzz. It's had media stations, news channels, podcasters abuzz discussing these things. A lot of you in the comments, not just in yesterday's live video, but on various platforms of mine on social media, on my Instagram, on my TikTok, on my Twitter, on my Facebook, asking me to weigh in on what we call illegal foreigners, undocumented foreigners, illegal immigrants, undocumented immigrants in South Africa, with a lot of them being turned away at public healthcare facilities in South Africa, specifically by Operation Dudula and some of the leaders or some of the members of the Patriotic Alliance. I see Action SA as well has weighed in. Popular a few years ago. Faces at the time became Unhlanhla Lux of Soweto Parliament, who's now gone into running a rehab farm and facility, I believe, in the Free State, where he's helping children that are grappling with drug abuse be rehabilitated. He's kind of taken a backlight from the media spotlight. He was one of the newsmakers, if not one of the key newsmakers, about 2-3 years ago. One of the faces of Operation Dudula. At some point, he was arrested. He claims that it was pushed by the EFF, who he really doesn't like. He doesn't like the leader, Julius Malema, for confiscating certain things from foreigners when they were going around doing their raids. Nhlanhla Lux would also become popular for defending Maponya Mall at a time where there were riots, I think in July 2021, and he became prominent at that time. One of the other voices of Operation Dudula at a point became Advocate Ike Khumalo, that I've sat with many times. Both him and Nhlanhla Lux have since left Operation Dudula, both citing that they don't like what Operation Dudula is doing in terms of wanting to get political seats, the fact that there's a lot of weird politics in Operation Dudula as well. With that being said, be that as it may, many South Africans love and cherish the work of Operation Dudula. Currently, the president is Uzandile. So I want to get her surname correct. Uzandile, where Jesu. I was literally listening to her this morning. President, Operation Dudula. I don't want to mess up this bongo sasiswam. Uzandile Dabula. The president of Operation Dudula currently is Dudula. She's been going on a lot of news platforms, speaking on behalf of Operation Dudula, speaking on behalf of a lot of disgruntled ordinary South Africans, and defending why Operation Dudula is standing outside many public clinics, outside many public hospitals, demanding that people coming there show them identification. Are you a South African citizen? If you're not and you're a foreigner, we want to see your papers. If not, they are turning people away. And that has caused a ruckus in the country. The Patriotic Alliance member, Gayton McKenzie, being one of the voices with hashtag Abahambe, speaking to undocumented foreigners that they must leave South Africa, they should be deported, etc. So some of the PA members have taken it upon themselves to also stand outside public clinics, public hospitals, to say, if you do not have the right papers, we will turn you away. This is illegal. This is not allowed, but they are saying they are acting in the interest of ordinary South Africans who have to wait in long queues, who sometimes don't get healthcare because undocumented illegal foreigners are in the queues and are taking up the time and taking up the resources. There are clinics and hospitals that sometimes run out of medication, and they feel that some of these undocumented and illegal foreigners are taking some of this medication, going around different clinics and hospitals, getting medication, and then sending them across the borders to Zimbabwe, to other parts of our neighboring countries, and in such a way, exploiting South Africa of its resources. Action SA has also weighed in. Action SA being led by Herman Mashaba. Herman Mashaba, when he was still with the DA, was the mayor in Johannesburg and was one of the people to push this whole story of illegal foreigners must be removed. He started attacking the whole concept of hijacked buildings, especially by undocumented foreigners. And I think that sparked the fire that would then be carried forward by Gayton McKenzie, that would be carried forward by your Operation Dudula, etc., etc. You will note that, in my opinion, and I said this when I sat with one of the leaders and one of the members of parliament of the EFF, the Economic Freedom Fighters, I believe Usnawo Tambo. I believe one of the reasons that many South Africans were snubbing the EFF at the elections was this whole concept of Pan-Africanism. Some utterings by Julius Malema at a time, the leader of the EFF, the commander-in-chief, stating that foreigners must find, what did he say? He must find creative ways to enter South Africa. In their defense, they were saying, look, it was a time around COVID where there were a lot of heavy regulations and some of the foreigners needed to come back into South Africa to work. Some of them needed to come back to their families, etc. But that term, that uttering really upset South Africans, where it looked like Julius Malema and the EFF were prioritizing other Africans over ordinary South Africans. I came to weigh in, and I need to add a disclaimer at the get. You guys are not going to like a lot of what I'm going to say today, and it's okay. I've been bashed, I've been called contrarian, I've been accused of being a sellout. People have said things like, I'm just here to just always speak against what the people want. That may be true to your opinion. However, when I do utter my views, I utter them from a place where I've applied thoughts, I've applied some type of research before I share my views. And today I'm going to be sharing my views, which many people will deem controversial around undocumented illegal foreigners. We've got 3-4 parties in South Africa that generally have spoken about the concept of illegal undocumented foreigners and immigrants. Being Action SA, the Patriotic Alliance, you've got the ATM, African Transformation Movement, which was led by, or I think is still led, it was led by Uvuyo Zungula. And then you add the fourth, it's not a political party, but Operation Dudullah being one of the faces. Outside of that, none of the other political parties, especially the biggest ones, seem to have an issue with this concept of undocumented foreigners in South Africa, particularly the ANC, who are responsible for the borders, who are responsible for home affairs, who are responsible for applying the rule of law. They seem to really, really not care. And when you link it to the drug expose that we've been hearing from Kwanazi and other people, including Operation Dudula and the likes, it seems like the ANC just turns a blind eye to a lot of these things. The DA as well doesn't seem to be as vocal about undocumented foreigners as much as any of the other political parties. If anything, Helen Zille's seem to gaslight people by arguing that many South Africans are economic migrants, just like the foreigners, specifically speaking about Amaxhosa from the Eastern Cape, moving to places like the Western Cape, looking for jobs. So you will find, and you will note, and the EFF, as I said, being very Pan-African. So you will find that a lot of your major political parties don't really care about the things that ordinary South Africans care about regarding this instance. And I think that's fundamentally important for people to note. One of the questions we do have to ask is who funds the South African Human Rights Commission? The South African Human Rights Commission seems to only come up when it comes to defending the rights of undocumented and illegal foreigners. They don't seem to come up to defend the human rights of ordinary South Africans whose rights are trampled by people who are in South Africa illegally. I think at a time I stand to be corrected, Vuyo Zungula of the ATM would point out that a lot of the people that sit in the executive of the South African Human Rights Commission are not even born South African citizens. They may be here with documentation. However, they are not South African, and therefore maybe it is not in their interests to serve South Africans. But the question remains, who funds the South African Human Rights Commission? Who funds the NGOs that are constantly fighting for undocumented foreigners, for refugees, for asylum seekers, and especially prioritizing them over ordinary South Africans who are born here, who have birth certificates and IDs here? And once we get to the core of who funds these organizations, we may start understanding what's going on, because the people that fund the organization may be foreigners. It may be foreign businesses that are making money from illegal foreigners here. It may be South African local businesses who are making money from foreigners here. It may be drug lords, drug cartels that are funding these organizations to say, go and defend our people there, even though they are there illegally. The question I ask, who owns hijacked buildings? South Africans, Operation Dudula, Herman Mashaba at a point, were very keen on defending buildings, especially in the Joburg CBD and others. Who owns these buildings? You as an ordinary South African do not have a share in those buildings. They are not yours. Who is the owner, so that we may know? We may actually be surprised that some of these buildings may be owned by foreigners. They may be owned by South Africans that have moved abroad, which is why they do not have a vested interest in ensuring that there's justice. Have we been hearing building owners that are coming to the fore, going to the media saying, I own buildings in the Joburg CBD, in Gqeberha, which is overrun by a lot of hobos, and I think the CBD, a lot of West African immigrants that are based there, parts of Durban, parts of Cape Town. Have we heard building owners coming to the fore and saying, my building has been hijacked? Or is it people just jumping into fights they are not aware of? Because you may be fighting for a hijacked building, but you may be defending an illegal foreigner, a foreigner, someone who actually doesn't care. It may be people that are linked to politicians that are involved with bribes. So I think that's a very key question to ask. Okay, let me just go through my notes. Ordinary South Africans need to hold themselves accountable. They support Operation Dudula, they support the Patriotic Alliance, they support Action SA and the like. But ordinary South Africans are buying from illegal, undocumented foreigners. Every day we buy from spaza shops. Every day we get our hair styled, we get our hair cut from African nationals who shouldn't be here. And I say they shouldn't be here because things like cutting hair, doing hair, running a spaza shop, these are not scarce skills according to regulation, which means these people came in here illegally. A lot of them do not have business permits, do not have work permits. And last I checked, I think you need about 5 million rand just to have a permit in cash to be able to even qualify for a permit. And I can promise you now, most of these people don't have that. Ordinary South Africans are the ones that are hiring nannies from Lesotho, from Eswatini, from Botswana, who are undocumented. They know when they bring them here that these people are cheap. They know that these people are not documented, but they still hire them. A lot of ordinary South Africans hire people from Mozambique, people from Malawi to come and build houses in the townships, to come and build back rooms, to work for them in some way. Ordinary South Africans, when their cars are broken down, take their cars to people from Nigeria, to people from Ghana, including things like fixing your tires or repairing your tires. When your phone is broken, you go and you get your phone fixed by someone from Bangladesh, by someone from Pakistan or Sri Lanka. Of course, the spaza shops are owned by Ethiopians, Somalians, Pakistanis, and the like. Ordinary South Africans are buying Ubers. The middle class, they buy Ubers. They buy scooters that they list under Mr. Delivery, under Take a Lot, under Checker 60. Then they put their Ubers and their Bolts under those apps. And then they hire foreigners from Zimbabwe and from other parts of Africa specifically to drive those Ubers because they can underpay them. Ordinary South Africans would rather prioritize paying less money to get a better service than supporting South Africans. Ordinary South Africans are the same people that rent out rooms, that rent out their properties to foreign nationals, whether they're coming to live there, whether they're coming to run a business there. Sometimes they may even know that these people are running prostitution rings, disguised as massage parlors there, but they let it be because they're getting paid. This includes Chinese nationals as well, many of them who are trading here, but we can almost guarantee that these people are not here legally. They're not pushing they don't have any scarce skill, but they're here illegally and they probably bribed someone to get in here and they're running business undisturbed. Many ordinary South Africans work at the borders. They work at immigration at the airports. They receive and they accept bribes to turn a blind eye to let people in. Many ordinary South Africans work at Home Affairs. They are the people that are selling ID cards to foreign nationals that shouldn't be here. When papers have to be issued, sometimes even when people are here legally and they have to renew the permits. I've heard from foreigners who are working in South Africa legally that when they need to get their papers renewed, they have to pay bribes of up to 40,000 Rand, even though they are here legally and they follow due process. And last I checked, when Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi was still Minister of Home Affairs before Leon Schreiber now, there was a huge backlog in terms of work permits and business permits and study permits for foreigners in South Africa. These are now legal people here. Now imagine the illegal people. To jump the queue, to get fake papers or falsified papers, you pay bribes, and it is ordinary South Africans that are collecting these bribes. There are South African police officers who are collecting bribes from undocumented illegal foreigners. Some are running businesses. Some of them are even pushing drugs, and the police know. General Clangam Kwanazi spoke to this, that there are police that are integrated with the drug cartels who turn a blind eye. Whether it is the Cape Flats, in Lenasia, in Eldorado Park, in Reiche Park, in Westbury, in all these other places, there are police officers that are involved and that are collecting bribes from drug dealers. Police officers that are aware that certain people are pushing prostitution rings, they are trafficking people. How did Thabo Bester and Unandipa Makutumane get out of the country? How did they escape from a prison if without the help of G-Force and other police officials? We know for a fact that they were aided. And Thabo Bester himself alluded to this. We just haven't heard any names. And no one is going to be held to account. And we've seen that the rot goes all the way to the top. Allegedly, the Minister of Police, Senzo Mchunu, people like the police commissioner or the deputy police commissioner and senior police officials, Ukolani from Sizoktola, from Moja Love, who has been going around trying to expose drug dealers, especially foreign nationals, was told by the police to not get involved and to stop. And some of the police were told by their senior officials to stop helping them go and uncover some of these drug rings. Ordinary South Africans. So while Operation Dudula, the PA and others are trying to do something about it, they are being countered with the assistance of ordinary South Africans. I haven't even mentioned ordinary South African girls who are sleeping with some of these guys for money, who help some of these guys in front. When they were doing the registration of spaza shops now, there were a lot of South Africans that were fronting to go and get the licenses to go and give to "Oh my friend" for a bribe. South Africans who get free groceries, who get money, who get some type of perks, who get drugs to help these people. Ordinary South Africans, including you and I. I buy from foreign-owned spaza shops. I get my hair cut at some point by undocumented foreigners. I buy from Chinese people. I buy from Ethiopians. I've taken cars to get fixed by foreign West Africans. I've had my phones fixed by people from Pakistan or Bangladesh. I am as complicit as the next person. Me. You guys are hiring ladies from some of these countries to come in and work for you. You. There are ordinary South Africans who attend churches owned by undocumented foreigners, who tithe. How did Prophet Bushiri from Malawi come in here and become so great? He may not be undocumented, but how do all Pastor Chris come to South Africa and make so much money and have such a huge following? Not just from foreign nationals in South Africa, from ordinary South Africans who love them, who enable them. The foreign African artists that come and perform here, and South Africans support them and enable that culture here. It is ordinary South Africans. With that being said, a lot of the immigrants that come to South Africa complain, and I saw a clip from a gentleman in Nigeria A lot of South African businesses, in particular white-owned businesses, make a lot of money from the African continent. Shoprite, Standard Bank, the mines, of course, many others. Some of the black BEE guys, Omzi Kumalo, operate in places like Zimbabwe. Cyril Ramaphosa operates in places like the DRC, places like Nigeria with MTN and the like. There are many South African companies that make money from the continent. And many of those immigrants feel entitled to come to South Africa because they're saying, but we support your businesses where we are based. Yes, you can counter that they are here illegally, but similarly, many people could say, but the reason we are flooding Stellenbosch, the reason we are flooding Cape Town, the reason we are flooding Johannesburg and Durban is because the Stellenbosch mafia and all these other rich white people and their BEE friends are making money from our townships. We are the ones that use your Capitec, your Time Bank, etc. So why can't we come and settle in your spaces? So the undocumented illegal foreigners, specifically from the African continent, are saying, but we support MTN, Standard Bank, Shoprite, and other businesses, MultiChoice, DSTV. So why can't we come to South Africa? Because all our money is there anyways. So when South Africans say, but you guys contribute nothing, you're lying. A big part of our economy comes from the African continent. Shoprite is the biggest retailer on the continent because of African support. MultiChoice DSTV is the biggest pay TV platform on the African continent because of support from Africa. Standard Bank is the biggest bank in Africa because of support from Africa. And like I said, the mines in the DRC, mines in Angola, other businesses in places like Nigeria, parts of Central Africa, a lot of the SADC region. If you go to places like Lesotho, Zimbabwe, Botswana, Namibia, Eswatini, there are a lot of South African businesses there, including cell phone network providers, including our banks and the like. So they're saying, but we are empowering your economy. Lesotho supplies water to South Africa. So they're saying, but you make money from us. At a smaller scale, a lot of the immigrants that are here, specifically Zimbabweans, they buy South African products to take back to their home nations. So they are supporting the South African economy. They're saying, but if we leave, if we're no longer here and we don't use Mukuru money and sending money, remittance, your banks won't make as much money from us. Your retail stores won't make much money from us. Your FMCG big groups, Unilever, Pioneer Foods, Tiger Brands, and the like. Your alcohol businesses, your pharmaceuticals, they won't make as much money if we are not based here. Because we come here, we buy. We buy your blankets, we buy your pots, we buy your foodstuffs, and then we load them on the back of buses and trailers and taxis, etc., and bakkies, and we travel to Mozambique and Malawi and Zimbabwe. They don't have things. And when we do that, we are sending money into the South African economy. So who are you to tell us? I want to add taxes before I go back to my other notes. Who pays tax? I hear a lot of people saying illegal foreigners don't pay taxes. That's very cute. It's very cute. We have three major taxes in this country, being personal income tax, corporate or company income tax, and value-added tax, VAT. VAT is charged at 15%. Enoch Godongwana, the Minister of Finance, tried to increase us. There was a counter to that. They would then sneak backdoor to hit us with an increase in electricity costs, an increase in fuel costs, etc., much higher than the increase of VAT. Everyone in South Africa who's buying goods pays VAT. Documented, undocumented, legal, illegal, it doesn't matter. All of us. Unless you're a VAT registered vendor and then you follow. But 99.999% of everyone, legal, illegal, South African, non-South African, pays VAT. So undocumented foreigners pay one of the major components of tax. Company corporate income tax is only paid by a handful of companies. I don't know if it's 200 or 600. The vast majority, including your company, are not paying corporate income tax. So for that one, we can scrap almost every South African. Because 200, 600 companies paying means, yes, then the rest of the 62, 63 million South Africans are not paying corporate company income tax, which is another big component. So there you don't even need to worry about legal, illegal foreigners. Then comes personal income tax, which is the one people are alluding to. Very convenient. South Africans are paying the taxes, however, no. We have got about 25 million registered personal income tax payers in this country, about 25 million. Of the 25 million, only 7.5 million actually pay any income tax. That's 7.5 million South Africans out of 63 million South Africans. So there's about 55 million South Africans that are not paying personal income tax, including employed people, because the threshold starts at about, I think, about 6,000, 7,000 rand. If you're earning about 6,000, 7,000, then you start paying some tax. I think it's about 18%. If you're earning 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, you're not paying any personal income tax. Just because you have a tax number doesn't mean you're paying personal income tax. That's 7.5 million. And of that 7.5 million that are paying, about 200,000, only 200,000 pay about 30% of total personal income tax. The vast majority of South Africans, 90% almost of South Africans, are not paying personal income tax. So the idea that South Africans are paying income tax is rubbish. The people that are actually paying the bulk of the personal income tax are people that have medical aid. They use private healthcare. They are the people that are speaking about human rights. And I saw someone on Twitter saying, these people that have medical aid must shut up. They don't know what they're speaking about. Those are the real personal income tax payers. Personal income tax. We don't count corporate income tax. That's really for the privileged. VAT is paid by everyone, including undocumented illegal foreigners. Your Pakistani, Ethiopian, Somalian, Bangladeshi spaza shop owners, when they stock from wholesalers, from Rhino, from Jumbo, from Macro, when they buy direct from the manufacturers, from the farms, they are paying VAT. They are actually contributing. As I spoke earlier, the undocumented immigrants that are buying things here and sending them to their hometowns, their home countries, they are paying VAT. Most South Africans are not paying personal income tax. So that argument really is not an argument worth having, in my opinion. And if we could actually track how many undocumented foreigners pay VAT in this country, I think it would blow our minds, because a lot of them are involved in business, in trade. So they definitely pay a lot. A lot of them use fuel, so they pay fuel levy. A lot of them drink. A lot of them pay rent. A lot of them use some of our banking products, etc., etc. A lot of them create jobs. A lot of ordinary South Africans are working for undocumented, illegal, or foreigners that have papers, falsified papers. There are two contradicting acts, and that's one of the conversations raised by Uzandile Dudula of Operation Dudula. We've got Section 27 of the Constitution of South Africa, which speaks about access to healthcare to everyone in South Africa. Very sneaky wording, of course, because South Africa belongs to all those who live in it. It doesn't say they're documented or undocumented. And I think Section 27 says, look, even if people are undocumented, they have right to healthcare, not just in emergency services. Section 17 of the Immigration Act of 2002 speaks about how foreigners that are in South Africa need to have medical insurance. And it cannot be that you're here illegally. It's a crime. With that being said, of course, people have access to healthcare and they are protected by the Constitution. Even President Cyril Ramaphosa spoke about this recently, basically giving a big fuck you to the rest of South Africans. I've spoken about the South African Human Rights Commission. There are many political parties, NGOs that are saying everyone has equal rights to healthcare, documented or undocumented, upsetting ordinary South Africans. The Constitution is not aligned to the Immigration Act. Again, I've said the ANC, DA, and some of the other big political parties, they don't care about borders. They don't. You're left as an ordinary South African frustrated by yourself with public healthcare, which is funded by people that can afford medical aid and also funded by the tax of illegal foreigners as well. I want to raise a point here that we don't speak much about white, undocumented illegal foreigners in South Africa, and it makes sense, but I have to raise it because it's important. White foreigners do not live in the townships. They do not live in squatter camps. There are many illegal, undocumented foreigners in this country that have also bribed black, ordinary South Africans who work at immigration and the like. But they live in suburbia. Many of them are also not running spaza shops. They don't run hair salons, so you won't see them. A lot of them are involved in businesses like drugs. A lot of them are involved in human trafficking. A lot of them are involved in prostitution. This is similar to Nigerians. That's why a lot of Nigerians are also not based in townships. A lot of Nigerians will live in suburbia, in the lower ends of suburbia, but they live in suburbia nonetheless. Hillbrow, Yeovil, those are not townships. That's suburbia, as in Sunnyside in Pretoria. That is not townships. That is suburbia. So similarly, you won't see white foreigners, and you won't know because the ordinary black person can't distinguish between a foreign white person and a local white person. What does a white German man look like versus a white Afrikaner man? What does a white Spanish man, a white French man, a white British man look like compared to the ordinary South African who speaks English, who speaks Afrikaans, etc.? You might hear them speaking French, German. Your assumption is going to be that they're tourists. They're probably here coming to enjoy the spoils of our country. We've heard of places like Bedford View, parts of Eastern Johannesburg, Egoruleni, those type of sections. A lot of foreigners, white foreigners live there. There are many other foreigners around South Africa. Some of the Greek, Portuguese, Lebanese people that run cafes, the ones that used to run, or that still run spa shops that are under franchises, a lot of the ones that run car dealerships, we do not know if they got into this country legally. Today, we speak to them. We speak to all of them, including the family that runs famous brands, the Halamandres or Halamandaras group. Steers, Wimpy, Fishaways, Debonair's, Milky Lane, and the like. They run a huge billion-rand empire. Did they get into here legally? How many of them, maybe their family members, have also come into South Africa? Did they follow due process? Did they come with scarce skills? On that conversation, we need to speak about life pre-colonialism. South Africa didn't have borders. And yes, one of the counter arguments is, but there are territories. We had territories. You don't just stumble upon KwaZulu or stumble upon the land of Xhosa to just say, I'm here, I'm doing whatever I want. You have to get permission. If you don't get permission, you would get killed. If you're not getting chased away, you would get killed. So when we speak xenophobic attacks, if you're coming into foreign territory, historically, before the British colonial systems came with their borders and their laws, you have to ask for permission. In the way that ordinary South Africans, when they go to Zimbabwe, Malawi, Nigeria, they have to ask for permission. They have to get a visa. But these territories were not economic zones per se. They were residential areas. Because South Africa is actually just a company. The mines, the farms, the manufacturing, those are just economic zones. That's why ordinary South Africans will leave rural areas to move to the cities to be part of the economic zones. The question becomes, why are ordinary black South Africans allowing foreigners to come into their townships, to come into their squatter camps? That's where the accountability has to be had. Why do you allow Pakistanis to set up spaza shops? I've seen them in the informal settlements in townships. That's on you. You allowed them. You buy from them. You support them. You hire illegal foreigners to come and take care of your babies. So the territory has been broken by your own people. Even if you lived in KwaZulu, if you lived in KwaXhosa, if you live in KwaSuthu, it would be your women, your men that are saying, come in Ndebele, come in Shona, come in person from Malawi, come settle here. The women want to sleep with you. The men want to do business with you. You allow them in. And hiding behind colonial laws, like the constitution or the laws, is convenient. These same laws were used to oppress ordinary black people during colonial rule under the Union of South Africa and during apartheid under the National Party. And today, you are no different to the British and the Afrikaners in saying, we want to use the rule of law to chase away your African brothers and sisters who are here for trade. Because we would trade. The Mapungubwe and others would trade in gold, in livestock, and the rest. The difference now is there are borders. And some people have allowed people to come in conveniently. And your political leaders, who some went into exile into Tanzania, into Angola, into Zambia, into Zimbabwe, were funded by places like Nigeria with millions of rands, funded by foreigners from the Soviet Union / Russia, supported by Palestine. Those same leaders who were in exile everywhere and supported are the ones leading people in now. And you vote for them. You support them, you fight for them, you protest and march for them, but you don't hold them to account when it comes to these issues, and you don't hold yourself to account. One of the things I've said, and one of the reasons I admire Orania, is I've said black ordinary South Africans, your Operation Dudula and the like, need to build fences, borders around townships, around squatter camps, and say, if you are a foreigner who has not been vetted by our people, who is not funding our people, who has not been approved by our people, you can't get in here. You can go to the rest of South Africa. Go live in Stellenbosch. Go live in Sandton. Go live in Camps Bay. Go live in Mhlanga and Palito, where the white people will hire you to work in their restaurants, in their hotels. But you will not live in this township. But it is ordinary black people who are renting out their properties to the Chinese, to the Bangladeshis, to the Nigerians, etc. You are the ones that have broken territorial code. No one else but you. So there's hypocrisy there. South Africans need to march. South Africans need to march. Not to ask President Cyril Ramaphosa and the ANC or the GNU to intervene. Cyril Ramaphosa is compromised. He serves the rich globally and some locally. He doesn't care about you. The GNU, DA and others, they don't care about you. South Africa is a company. Politicians serve the rich, the funders. They don't care about you. So don't march to them and expect them to do something. Don't march to the police. General Clangam Kwanazi has shown us now that the police cannot be trusted. South Africans need to march and protest like the Kenyans are doing now, to say, we are protesting to say we have no confidence in our government. We do not have any confidence in our constitution. We do not think it represents the will of the people that are born here in South Africa. We are protesting for the rest of the world to assist us the way we protested during apartheid, to say our government is oppressive, our government hates black people, our government hates poor people, our government prioritizes money, even if it means breaking of their own laws. Our government is responsible for colluding with drug lords, colluding with foreign business people here from Europe, from America, from Africa, from Asia. So we are protesting against government, if you are serious. But if you love the social grants and you love the welfare and you love the free houses, don't protest, because clearly you don't have a problem. South Africans need to try and implement something like the taxi industry. The taxi industry has got associations which manage routes. You have to join the association to have a taxi on the route. If they were to do the same with spaza shops and say, you cannot own a spaza shop in this area unless you're part of the spaza association. We know who you are, we know you're South Africans, and we'll make sure that only South Africans have spaza shops here. Only South Africans can have car workshops here. Only South Africans can fix cell phones in this area. And then enclose your townships. Because if you're not, then you're not serious. Hold ordinary South Africans to account to ask who rented this property to these foreign nationals. You must be held to account as well. Okay, let me close it. I no longer worry about illegal and undocumented foreigners, immigrants anymore. I've come to realize that South Africa is a company, a British company, an American company, an Anglo-American company. South Africa was formalized. A government was set up to ensure that the economy of this country served the British Empire, served the American Empire, and certain people were put to look after that, to oversee that. Formalized by the Oppenheimers, of course. The Ruperts would come in with the National Party, and then today we've got the Motsipes and the Ramaphosas now with the ANC. It's just the governing body for the economy of South Africa on behalf of the British and the Americans. And the Chinese are coming in, and some of the other Europeans are coming in. Some Africans are coming in as well. So because of that, this is not a country or a nation in the real sense. It doesn't belong to the citizens. Citizens should be worried about their residential areas more than anything. And that has to do with you. That has to do with your family. That has to do with your community. That has to do with your ward councillor, your mayor. It has to do with your chief or your king. They are the ones then that need to be held to account. There are many undocumented illegal foreigners who have broken the law by being here, but then don't break any other law after that. They are here to feed their families, to feed their communities, because in their country, of the DRC, of Sudan, of Malawi, things are not great. They are no different to poor people from the Eastern Cape, poor people from KwaZulu, from the Free State, people from the Northwest, from the Northern Cape, from Limpopo, from Mpumalanga, from the Western Cape, any poor people from the rest of South Africa. They are no different. They migrate as they used to migrate, even before colonialism, to fertile lands, to better economies. The fact that there's a border between us and them is colonial. It was not created by Africans. And the borders were only to say this company belongs to Britain, this company belongs to Portugal, this company belongs to France. That's all. So I will not be fighting against undocumented illegal foreigners. What I will fight against are serious criminals. And by serious, I'm not talking a bribe here and there. I'm talking people who rape, people who kill, people who push drugs, people who traffic human beings. This includes South Africans. There are South African men and women in the police, at home affairs, at the borders, in nightclubs, in townships, everywhere, who are enabling rape, murder, drugs, human trafficking, and other really, really serious crimes. That's what I'm worried about. So if you're going to show me Abdul or Fatunde or whoever from Nigeria, from Ghana, from Niger, from the Congo, from Sudan, from Malawi, from Bangladesh, from Nepal, from India, from Russia, from Turkestan, from Spain, from Brazil, from Argentina. If you're going to show me any of those people and they are not involved in serious crimes, I don't care. Because your government doesn't care about documentation. The people who fund them run businesses that are hiring undocumented people. We are ordering from Checkers 60. The scooter drivers are dying in car accidents. These are foreigners and we don't care because it's nice. We are hiring foreigners. We are buying from foreigners because it's cheap. Because we like slave labor. Just like the Afrikaners before us, just before the British before us. We appreciate what's cheap, what's good service. We buy from the Chinese shops. We buy from Indians because it's convenient for us. We rent out to people who will pay rent. We don't care where they're from as long as they pay. And ordinary South Africans who are lazy, who don't want to work, who don't want to acquire skills, who don't want to run good businesses, who overprice, who are entitled, who want to march and protest, who don't even pay personal income tax, want to get the rest of us to jump up and down for them so that they can enjoy grants. They can enjoy free healthcare that they don't pay for, that is paid for by the middle class, a very small percentage of people. Everyone must get excited for them when they don't want to contribute, when they support the same people they're complaining about, when they vote for the same people they're complaining about. Count me out. So I'll not be joining an Operation Dudula. I will not be joining all these other groups that are trying to push for. I will join people that are against serious crimes, including South Africans. That's where the problem is. And we need to have a hard conversation around borders. We need to have a hard conversation around our constitution and our laws that are not aligned to what should be in the best interest of the company known as South Africa Pty Ltd, an Anglo-American company. I look forward to reading your comments, your judgments of me and the like. Shout out to H2O Water for being my water sponsor. I love and appreciate you guys very much. Penuel, the black pen, Penuel, the swart pen, ipene limnyama, usiba olunsundu pene enso. Have a great and blessed day. Cheers.